Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked down by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, Merry Christmas, happy holidays as we're in between, the week between. We should come up with a name for this, John. The week between Christmas and New Year is kind of like a dead zone. But welcome aboard. Hope you had a Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever it is you celebrate. I hope this past weekend was fun, and the upcoming week is just as fun as New Year's is heading towards us next weekend. That's another thing, I think. Shouldn't Christmas and New Year's always be on either Friday or Saturday? Always. That gives you that whole week. And then again, how many people would take vacation during that time? I don't know. That'd be a big vacation time, but that's okay. Not a lot's getting done, right? I mean, who's really accomplishing anything? I will tell you someone who is accomplishing someone right now. The Indianapolis Colts. How about the Colts? Roll on a gigantic win for actually big, gigantic back-to-back wins for the Indianapolis Colts. As yesterday, or Saturday, I guess it was. Was it Saturday? I can't wait to talk to Matt. It's been 2 weeks probably since we have spoken with him. But after beating the Patriots a week before, last Saturday, 27-17 in a big home win, the Colts go on the road to Arizona and in a tough place to play against a very good Arizona team, Kyler Murray and crew. And the Colts defense holds the Cardinals to 16 points. The offense puts 22 on the board. Well, I think the defense actually helped with that. But Indianapolis wins on Christmas Day, 22-16. They had, and I was listening to the broadcast that Matt was doing. Prior to that win, they had like a 50-something% chance of making the playoffs. After that win, they have a 97% chance of making the playoffs now. How crazy is that? And if they do, they would become only the fifth team in NFL history to make the playoffs. Playoffs? We should have played that after 3 games. You want to talk about playoffs? Only the fifth team in NFL history to make the playoffs after an 0-3 start. So they haven't gotten there yet. They have another home game against the Raiders coming up the day after New Year's. And then they finish the season on the road. I should travel for this, because this should be a guaranteed win and a celebration of making the playoffs, because they travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, which, well, they've won, I think, 2 games this year. They're bucking for the top pick in the NFL draft. Yeah, I can't pull the record up. I'm pretty sure they're 2 and whatever, which I'm shocked that they were able to win 2 games this season. Shocked. Although they have an interim coach and things are a lot better for them now since Urban Meyer's not there. 2-13. There you go. But things are a lot happier for them right now because Urban Meyer's gone. I don't think I've ever said this about a coach, but it was apparent that he was a cancer to his own team. Like I've never heard before. I heard of a coach being jerks and this and that, but not one that had not had that reputation had gotten away with having that reputation, but had been so successful as Urban Meyer. Come on, man. Party pooper right off the bat. They lost to Jacksonville last year. I'm kidding. But that's a whole different scenario, man. These Jaguars, they stink. Although, like I said, they have nothing to lose. But see, they don't want to give up that number one draft spot either. They're a game in front of the Jets, maybe, who have won 3 times. So they don't want to lose that number one spot. It gives them the QB that they need, man. Although, well, actually, no, they have Trevor Lawrence. So, but it still gives them the opportunity to build on to that. So, building through the draft. Michael, the Music Man, joins us. P. Burrow on with us as well. Hope you guys I had a great weekend. How was Christmas? John, how was your Christmas? John, the producer.
Man, we had a good Christmas. It was nice having it on a Saturday and kind of not really having to worry about anything. It was a good little time off.
I think Christmas should always be on either a Friday or a Saturday, because that way you get Christmas Eve on Thursday. Make it a holiday
Friday
if you want. Wait a minute. If you want to make it a holiday, yeah, it's okay. Make it a holiday. It gives you a 4-day weekend. Be great. You can get out of there. Half day on Thursday. Like Friday, Christmas, you got the whole weekend. See, this was okay. Christmas on Saturday it's not bad. Pretty good. Not bad. Because you got Sunday to do exactly what I did. You know what I did all day Sunday?
Slept.
I did nothing but try to recapture, try to recharge. And man, oh man, I'm not going to lie. It felt good. I didn't wake up until 10. I didn't do much. Went back to sleep around 1. Woke up at 6 at night, which I'm like, all right, I'm screwed. I'm never going to sleep tonight. Boom. Not a problem. All night.
So all
out,
of that
man.
Sleep deprivation accumulated over the past several months came to a head over the course of Christmas weekend.
Oh, it does. It does way before that. You just kind of deal with it. And man, whenever you can, it's like a bear. You just hibernate. I hate sleeping like that, but it's like I don't sleep enough as it is. So yeah, it was awesome. But I think that man, I know you can't change the date of Christmas, but man, if it was on like the Friday or the Saturday every year, and then you buffer that with New Year's on the other end, how about that? Every year, I would love that.
It's pretty solid.
The end of the year. Nothing's going on. Nothing's happening it's just relax. Let everybody
Imagine
relax.
if every business between Christmas and New Year's was just shut down. You had a whole week of nothing. You had to get all your grocery shopping done before. You couldn't go to the store and do anything. Now, you would have idiots who wouldn't prepare for that, and then they'd be screwed for a whole 7 days. But wouldn't that be something to have that entire week of just nothing?
Tim sent me some bourbon balls that I did receive. Tim, thank you very much. They are delicious and taste just like you bought them at the store. I'll go grab those in a minute. Can only do like one at a time. If you've never had bourbon balls, they're kind of rich in a different way, but they're delicious. But yeah, I used to be able to probably do 2 at a time, and it's not because of the bourbon, but they're just rich. They're good. But yeah, I got to do 1 at a time. But Tim, thank you, brother. Yes, I did. I got them. UPS was coming up the stairs. I'm like, what the hell is this? And boom, open it up. Bourbon balls. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you, brother. Forrest checking in from down in Georgia. Hope things are well down south. You know, I was looking at something the other day, and I'm proud of this, but that's all the credit goes to you guys. think I saved a picture in my gallery. I was pulling up. It showed me a lot of the different places outside of the U.S. that people are listening. Would that have been a screenshot? Can't remember. But the different, oh yeah, here we go. How about, all right, United States, of course, of this particular time snap that it did it, 4,000 people were in the United States listening. How about Nigeria? 5. The Philippines with 3, 2 in Brazil. We got a couple in Canada, a couple in Israel. That would have been great for Christmas. A couple in Italy, got some in the Netherlands, Mexico, Turkey. That's our audience. Just our Facebook audience. Or no, YouTube audience, rather. I'm sorry. YouTube audience. And I know the podcast, the radio, of course, is just local, but well, that's not true. I guess people can pick up their Wi-Fi or their websites, but on the podcast, I know we're Afghanistan and a couple other countries like that. So, man, it's just amazing to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like Australia. Oh, I know what's his name down in Australia. So to have people listening in like 14 countries, mind-boggling, just mind-boggling. But I hope all of you guys had a Merry Christmas wherever you are and celebrating. This is one of the things I got from my daughter. Thank you very much, Kylie. I love this obviously, if you ever see me, quarter zip pullovers are my favorite attire to wear no matter what. And this, I love this material, that kind of stretchy material, color that I don't have. How did she didn't even know. So hope you got some great things, gave some great things, had fun. It's funny what people want to now, as opposed to either when they were a kid or when you were a kid, what mattered. What are some of the goofy gifts that you received or gave? What's the goofiest thing you got or the goofiest thing you received? I didn't do anything goofy, I don't think. I gave a lot of bourbon away to some folks. Look, I still have a few more people to run into. Don Fischer's coming up next, don't forget. And along with that, tonight at 7:05 at Southern Stone Restaurant at the corner of Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. You know, that's where you will find them with Inside Indiana Basketball. Don Fischer, of course, hosting that, as Woody will be joining him as they are preparing for their next game on Wednesday. But they had a nice Christmas holidays as well. Hope that they did have a nice Christmas holiday. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the great voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, will join us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration. Tim gave his wife a weed eater and a blower. I'm sure she appreciated both of those.
Morning, Don.
Morning, guys.
Hi, Don.
What's happening?
Did you give your wife a lawnmower for Christmas?
I stayed away from that one this year. But I've given her some stupid gifts before, so
I'm gonna ask that question on the air because that's funny. That is a great question. What are some of the dumbest gifts that husbands have given wives to make them just look at them like, really? Are you serious?
Well, a vacuum cleaner is not the best gift. I can just tell you that.
Experience from yourself, Don?
Yes, I believe I did that one time. That was in the early days of marriage.
Hey, that's where I'm at right now. So maybe I'll slip up like that soon.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to give you some advice if you'd like it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it's never good to give something that's work related. Yes.
Yeah.
Work related is not good.
They have enough reminders.
Yeah, well, trust me. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're smart, you give jewelry or I guess they always like flowers and all that kind of stuff. And
Gift certificates to the manicure place or the hair place.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
My wife is a humongous reader. She reads books like they're going out of style, and she likes books. So Barnes and Noble's always a good gift card and that kind of thing. So but more than anything, I gave her this year. Her gift was a shirt. I'm trying to remember exactly the verbiage on the shirt that I got it for, kind of as a joke. What was it again? I got to think about it. I don't want to give you the wrong verbiage because the verbiage is key. But and I saw
especially if they don't get the joke.
They got it. She got it. I mean, then I showed it to everybody in our family on both Christmas Eve to my family or my sons and our grandkids, and then I showed it to her family the next day at Christmas. We have a 2-day extravaganza here at my house. We have my family on Christmas Eve, and then the day after we have everybody here from her family. So we have a big pool tournament too.
Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this post-Christmas Monday. The great Don Fischer joining us now. Merry post-Christmas, Don. I hope you had a great Christmas and happy holidays coming up. How was the family extravaganza, as you put it in the off air?
Well, we had a great time. Like I said, my family, my sons and our grandkids all come down on Christmas Eve. We've done this for years now. There's about 16 to 17 people in the house at that point in time, and we spend the late afternoon and the evening enjoying one another socially and that kind of thing. And then on Christmas Day, my wife's family comes down, and they had 24 this year.
Holy cow.
So we had two days of housefuls of people, enjoyed ourselves immensely, had a pool tournament as we have the annual Susie Lee Susie Lee Christmas holiday tournament. This is the 5th annual.
She definitely would not like to hear memorial on it. Then
no.
Memorial.
Well, one of her brothers tried to rename it to Susie's mom in the Kathleen Lee Memorial Tournament. And it's always been the Susie Lee tournament. It's a Christmas holiday tournament. As they tried to rename it, we said, no, it's not happening. Even though we love Kathleen immensely, and she's the matriarch of the family, we kept it in Susie's name. But we had just a great time. We had 24 people. Everybody, here's the thing. You have to play in the tournament. Everybody plays. Everybody. And I mean, there are so many people that don't play hardly at all. I don't play until the tournament arises. I've got the pool table in my house. Here's the thing about buying a pool table when because you always wanted one when you were young, right? And so I finally got into a position I could buy a pool table, put it in my basement, and now I hardly ever play. It's just ridiculous.
It's for other people. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like a ping pong table, but it just doesn't cost near as much as
exactly. But we had a great time. We had a wonderful Christmas, as we always do.
Well, that sounds great. I'm surprised. Too bad, because with the weather, man, there is no way I knew you were not just itching, crying to be outside playing golf, because the weather was unfreaking believable.
I know. Temperatures in the 60s. I never got out at all, which really bothers me dramatically. I did hit balls indoors one day. So I did that into a screen, but it's not the same as being out there. And I just didn't have enough time to get out and play, take 4 hours to play golf. I just didn't have the time. with all the holiday stuff that was going on. And we still had a basketball game last week as well. So at any rate, we still had a great Christmas. It was fun. And I don't get the itch like I used to playing golf in the winter.
Once you stop.
Yeah, I used to want to play every day, that kind of thing. And I still would like to play every day, but the weather just destroys it. I mean, I literally, here's what I can tell you guys. Don't get old, because when you do, the knees start aching. All the joints are a problem, especially if it gets cold. And even though it's been warm here the last few days, it's still colder than you'd like it to be. And the body tells you, don't be stupid. Don't go out there, Dumbo. And I don't. Most of the time I don't.
I'm surprised that, and I know would be massive, but that someone has not built an indoor golf facility up here, from Indianapolis north for winter, because it would be freaking packed.
Well, it's interesting you say that. They had what they called a bubble on the south side here for a time. I don't know if it's still in business or not. I mean, you hit balls indoors into this bubble, and you had targets you could hit to, that kind of thing. But it was probably 100 yards. That was this bubble, covered about 100 yards. So you really couldn't do much, and I don't think it just didn't translate. Now you've got these screens that you can hit balls into, and it shows the fairway and that kind of stuff. And they're pretty accurate. I mean, the ones that are really good are quite accurate, and you could actually play golf indoors hitting into a screen. It's not quite the same, but you get the same feel. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's better than nothing, right?
Exactly.
Basketball wise, the Indiana Hoosiers got a little break. The last game was last Wednesday. They got to do a little Christmas break in between, but you got to come back. I hate this Wednesday game. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, I wish they just didn't have it. There's no games between Christmas and New Year. Just play that last one before Christmas, and it's done until after New Year's, man. But the Hoosiers coming back on Wednesday with another non-conference game before they get into conference play. I'm sure you feel the same, Don. You'd love to skip this game on Wednesday, but it's coming regardless.
Yep, it is. There's no question about it. The truth of the matter is, I don't like here's what I just don't like the idea that you'd go a week or week and a half without playing a ball game. I think that's always a mistake. And so I understand why they're playing it. It doesn't fit.
Especially when you got a couple of days where you're probably not even doing anything.
Right, exactly. So they came back. The players got 4 days off, which is unique in itself. So they played last Wednesday. Then they didn't come back to school. They went home and visited with their families, had a Christmas with their families. Didn't have to come back until yesterday. And I assume they all got back and practiced yesterday at some point. So they've got 2 or 3 days to get ready for this North Carolina Asheville ball club, and then get ready for Penn State on Sunday of next week. So I get why you don't like it, and I understand that completely. If it was up to me and I didn't have to do those ball games, I probably wouldn't either. But at the same time, I think from a player's perspective and a coach's perspective, it's necessary.
The other thing I don't like is, I know since they've expanded the Big Ten schedule, is putting those 2 Big Ten games up front and then splitting off. I'm like, all right, are you seriously? Can you not squeeze in 2 other games in the entire Big Ten season together with all those games that they're playing? Because I don't think it's good to split it that soon. If it was in the middle, maybe for a game, you see that sometimes, but I don't like how they do that at the beginning.
Well, it's just different. It's different. Here's what your problem is, Jim. You're getting old. I mean, you just don't like change.
Exactly. Get off my lawn.
I mean, look at me. I'm up there, and I don't like anything that changes immediately. You've got to learn something new. You got to get into new technology, all those kinds of things. And I am the worst at technology. I'm an illiterate when it comes to technology. And I proudly say that because I'm too old to learn. I'm just too old to learn some of these new things that they're doing. That's why we have an engineer. I did my own engineering for basketball at any rate, my entire career up until about 5 years ago. And that's when we first got an engineer we had an engineer for football, always have had for football because it just requires that. But for basketball, we set up our own stuff. But I'm so out of it technology wise that I said, you're going to have to get me an engineer now in football and basketball, not just football.
Well, yeah, not even having just having a producer for not even technology wise, but having a producer, someone that can take so much off of your shoulders,
right,
like John does. It's nearly impossible. It would be impossible for me to do this show without John or someone like him. It's a quarterback, but you got to have a running back. You got to have a receiver. You got to have some guys to work with.
Right. Yeah, it's an important factor. There's no question. And like I say, Jake Robinson, who's our engineer, does a terrific job. And he'll pick up the phone and answer my questions as soon as I have one. And I always have a million because I have actually equipment in my studio here, or my office, I should say. I've got a little equipment here that I can do Zoom and I can do phone interviews and those kinds of things. So this much of it I can run, but if there's anything that goes wrong, I can't fix it. So we're in trouble.
I hear you, man. A couple things. You used to do the Colts, right? How long did you do the Colts?
23 years.
Wow. All right. So how hard was it to do the Colts and the Indiana games?
Well, the hardest part, I just did preseason Colts games. I never did radio. I always did preseason television for the Colts from 1995 until, again, 5 years ago, 23 years worth at any rate. The biggest problem was that the football team for IU was always practicing. And at that point in time, the Colts were as well. So you had two different teams you had to go to practices for to get prepared. You had 90 players on a roster of an NFL team, two teams to get ready for with 90 players on. The preparation was just monstrous in that regard. And then, of course, they whittled it down to the last preseason game. You were down to like 60 guys or something like that, or 53 or whatever it would be. But anyway, you had so many guys to prepare for. And we had conflicts as well, because by the time the Colts started playing their exhibition games, Indiana was almost ready to play their first game of the season. So there were some games that I couldn't do from the preseason perspective. But generally speaking, we did at least 3 games every year, almost 4 most years. But there'd always be a conflict in there occasionally because Indiana would play on a Friday and the Colts would play on a Friday, that kind of thing, in exhibition from the Colts exhibition schedule. So it was always difficult, but it was fun too. And I'm not a TV guy. I've got a face made for radio. And I did it for 23 years. I really enjoyed it. And the fact that they changed kind of the travel situation a little bit at the end and how you'd go. We had to go commercially the last year I did it. And I went, I don't want to do this anymore. So it worked out for me perfectly.
Great. It was great to have you on there, though. And then I enjoy listening to Matt Taylor now, another good friend of the show, great guy, and a big IU fan.
He's a great guy, and he's a great young man. First of all, that's the most important thing. He's just not a play-by-play guy. He's just a great person and really talented. I really like him a lot personally. Get along with him great, and I think he's a perfect fit for the Colts, no question.
Let's see. I don't want to miss too much. Of course, the Colts. How about the Colts big winning too? Woo.
Oh yeah. Well, those wins they've had the last few weeks have been critical. And it's been different. They've done it differently. I mean, the run game was so prominent with Jonathan Taylor, how great he's been this year. And he has just an average game, a less than average game for him with 108 yards this past week. And Carson Wentz goes to town and pulls out a couple of tremendous plays toward the end of the ball game. You just like the way this team is playing, and they did it. Their whole offensive line, for the most part, was out. 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen were out of this ball game, and their tight end Jack Doyle was out, and yet they were able to find a way to win and Darius Leonard, their best defensive player, was out. So you talk about a team that was put together with Band-Aids and wraps. It's a ball club that found a way to get it done. You just got to like what you see from Frank Reich and the coaching staff, what these guys have done, and how hard this team is playing right now.
Yeah, Frank Reich always looks the same. I don't care if it was the first game that they were losing, the third game they were losing, or the 8th game that they've won. It's like you just look over at him and he's like, all right, what's next? What's next? He just it cracks me up. But I love that because he's just thinking ahead. He's not thinking about what he just did. He's just thinking ahead. And that's, like you said, part of the reason why that they have been so successful. How about Juwan Morgan, an OG, playing on the same team. Juwan, how about Juwan Morgan, first of all? I never thought this guy would have had a chance to make the NBA. He's played on 2 different teams with 2 former teammates now.
Well, Juwan Morgan is just, first of all, another great guy, great person, terrific. He's a terrific guy to be around, a great teammate, a leader in every sense of the word of how he goes about his business. And there's no question that Juwan, everybody questioned whether he could make it in the NBA just because he's kind of an undersized big, if you know what I'm saying. That's certainly how he played at Indiana. He was an undersized big at IU, and yet he finds a way to get it done. And you just love that. And of course, OG's a great young man as well. Haven't seen as much of OG since he got into the NBA, so we didn't get to spend as much time with him. But I always liked him. I thought he was a little quirky, and he really was a little quirky, but a great guy to talk to. And I'm just glad for both those guys.
Yeah, he seems really quiet.
Yeah, and I think he is, and he's not a guy that is a pointer to himself. He's one of those guys that acquiesces to the team and does the right stuff. You got to like him a lot.
CJ Gunn is coming, an Indiana recruit, he's been off. He gets to make his return on December 28th, so we'll look forward to seeing that. Right. When is it? Wednesday. Yeah. Wednesday, Indiana takes on UNC Asheville. They get back on track. So you have to get back to preparing for the game as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to it in the sense that I want to – here's my biggest concern right now with this Indiana basketball team. And I'm going to talk to Mike about this tonight on the talk show because we have seen this several times here in the first 12 games of the season. This is a basketball team that struggles to play a full 40-minute game. I mean, It started with Eastern Michigan in the very opening game of the season. Looked terrific at the outset. Second half, they let them back in the ball game. We've seen it at Syracuse. I mean, they played horribly in the first half. The second half, they played terrific. They played great at the first half against Wisconsin. Played terrific played horribly in the second half, and they did it again in this game against Northern Kentucky. Where they were just dominating the entire first half, held them to 16% shooting in the first half and 14 points, and then give up 47 points in the second half and allow them to shoot almost 60%. I mean, it's just crazy that this team can't put their foot on the throat, so to speak, and
that's
finish
exactly what I said. Yep,
it's
I said that very thing.
It's a 40-minute game. I mean, you cannot come out. And I'm going to ask Mike about this. I'm going to bring this up to him. Did you not ever hear what Bob Knight said were the most important parts of every basketball game? The first 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half. Those are the 2 most important parts. Why? Because you set the tone for the rest of the half. So you got to come out with an intensity level that is tremendous in both those 5-minute periods. If you do that, it translates to the whole half for the most part. I'm not saying it always works, but 98% of the time it does.
Well, it cost them the Wisconsin game, no question. They lost that last couple of minutes of that first half, allowing Wisconsin to knock, I can't remember if it was 5 points off of that 22-point lead. Well, and then they come out and they begin the second half and boom, and then they're right in the game. So exactly what you're saying. And then in the Northern Kentucky game, Indiana was up by 30-something at one point, and end up winning by less than 20, like you said. But it's the same thing. They've got to learn to just continue to play with that same level of intensity. And I don't know what the question is. Obviously, I'm not in practice every day, and with a lot of different faces, I don't know what the answer is. If it's the second unit, getting them to play better, or we saw Parker Stewart get kind of benched for a half in the last game, and he came in and played. What did he end up doing? I can't even remember. It's been so long ago.
He had 3 points. He just had 1 3-pointer, but he did come back in. He was being, I guess, tested mentally a little bit by the coach, because and Mike wouldn't say why he didn't start him. Why he didn't. I mean, he's had the same starting lineup the entire season up to this point, and all of a sudden he changes. And I said, after we got through with the interview, I said, what? How come Parker's not starting tonight? And he goes, it's an in-house scenario,
Yep.
So he's not going to sit there and put the kid on a, say, this kid's did something wrong, but you would assume something happened, that he did play. So it wasn't like he was injured or anything like that. It was obviously some kind of punishment.
Yep. And so we'll see if they can come back and play 40 full minutes against this team on Wednesday. And they need to, Don, because it's the last tune-up. It's the last game. It's, if you want to call it an easy game or it's the last one that you're probably not going to just be really challenged from start to finish, because the Big Ten season starts in your next game, or it's already started, but it really gets going in the next game, and there are no breaks. So they need to do it in this game to show that they can do it going forward.
Well, North Carolina Asheville is a ball club that is really a veteran team. They're 8-5 on the season. They don't play. I mean, they play a mid-major schedule. There's no question about that. They've lost twice to Chattanooga. I guess Chattanooga must have a really good ball club this year. That said, this team has won, I think, 4 of their last 5 or something like that. They're a good basketball team. They got a really veteran ball club. They play 10 guys, and their 10 guys, all of them are, with the exception of one, are juniors or seniors, or fourth year juniors, fifth-year seniors, that kind of thing. This is a really veteran basketball team. So I don't think they're going to be intimidated coming into Assembly Hall, and Indiana's probably going to get a little bit of a battle from them, especially if they're not ready to play a full 40 minutes.
You got that right. Let's see. We said that tonight inside Indiana men's basketball at 7:05 at Southern Stone Restaurant at the corner of Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Don Fischer, of course, hosting that with Mike Whitson. Make sure you come out there. It's always fun. That's the thing about Mike Whitson. He gets done and he goes over and sits down and eats, and he is so relaxed in any environment that I've seen him in. It's pretty mind-boggling.
Yep, he is. He's a different dude when it comes to coaches, and I like that a lot.
Absolutely. Well, Don, I cannot thank you enough, man. Appreciate you. Happy holidays to you and the family, and I
thank you.
Hope that you get to have a relaxing week at least. You got
one
game.
We're looking forward to it, man. See ya.
Dan Fischer here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with Dustin Schutte from Southern Tradition right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Sports on television.
Hello,
Dustin.
Schutte from Southern
How's it going?
Tradition.
Getting too many work, too many. Yeah, I did. I was like,
excuse me. You get some new headphones?
Too many names.
Oh, I've had these.
Oh, okay. Usually you don't have them whenever we're on. I was curious.
No.
Excuse me.
Well, let me take him full screen and see what I can see.
To see what he can see.
You know what? You got anything you could set your laptop on?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
It's on a desk.
Well, I understand that. Just like up a little more. That way you can bend it down off of your light that's behind you.
Like that?
His stuff's fine. But
there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. You got a Florida hat on?
Yeah, my brother works at UF.
Doing what?
In the track and field. He works in track and field.
And they lost their bowl game and you're wearing their hat.
And I'm wearing it down here in Central Florida territory.
Who'd they lose to?
UCF.
That's what I thought.
I have a Georgia hat. I have just about something from every school in, the Power Five. Not really.
Wow,
but
that's cool.
Georgia, Florida, LSU, Auburn, every Big Ten school.
Vanderbilt.
You notice
Kennesaw State.
You notice I do not wear IU stuff. People are always asking, why don't you wear IU stuff? I'm like, dude, I work in the media, man. I'm not, I don't work for IU.
I'm an equal opportunity. If it's a cool logo, like home field apparel, some of that old classic stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think of the oval IU football logo?
Don't get me fucking started on that.
I know Jim hates it.
Yeah. No, it was terrible.
And
it was
Cam Cameron era only.
Yes, it was only for but then it drives me nuts. It was only for football, but I recently saw a picture of the soccer team celebrating something with the scoreboard in the background, and that damn logo was on the scoreboard.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, it is.
He wanted to distinguish himself from the basketball program, right? Isn't that why he wanted to do that?
It doesn't matter. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Right,
he played on the basketball team. He should have known better. That's a great conversation. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Post-Christmas Monday. We got to come up with a name for that. But Dustin Schutte, Saturday Tradition, joining me. Just in the break, John brought up the ugly old the circle IU logo that Cam Cameron put into use for the 3 seasons since he was here. Pull that up, John, when you get a chance. And he asked Dustin his opinion on that. And your response was?
It was terrible. I don't know anybody that really liked it. I mean, and the thing is you try to distinguish yourself or separate yourself from the basketball program. And it didn't work. They were never very successful under his guidance. So it was a failure on multiple levels. It was one of the worst logos too that I remember. And they incorporated, then all of a sudden black became a primary color for those jerseys. It was the helmet color for a couple years there.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will say is that you do associate that every time I see that logo or I see that helmet, you do think of Antoine Randall, which is probably one of the greatest Indiana football players of all time.
Absolutely, no doubt. But you know what would have separated himself from the? Oh God! All right, make it go away. Do you know what would have separated himself from the basketball team? Winning. Just win,
That's
baby.
True.
Just win. That's all you got to do. All you got to do.
What's worse, that logo or the creepy Hoosier hysteria or whatever he was, Harry the Hoosier, that guy?
That guy.
His name was Hoosier Pride.
Hoosier Pride, yeah.
Yeah, he looks like Hoosier Hyde. Oh, yeah, that was, whew, man. Yeah, just win. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do was win. But that logo did get me 2 bag chairs from the Meyer Corporation, the Meyer stores.
Yep.
Back in, all right, this would have been between prior to 2009, so 2008-ish, something like that. I was in a Meyer store and they had these college bag chairs. And I happened to be in Louisville at the time. So they had Louisville, U of L, UK, and IU. And I see the IU one, and it's got that damn logo on it. And I'm furious. And I called Meyer or sent him an email or something and said, you're using a logo that is not correct. This was used one time in a 3-year period by one coach in one sport. I said, it's not the IU logo. And they were like, oh my God, thank you so much. They recalled all those chairs and remade them in the IU logo and sent me 2 for free.
Wow. That's
so
a good deal.
Go. That wasn't bad.
Do you think it was easier to get the copyright from that? That would be my guess as to why they ran that.
I think partly is because you just had someone that didn't know what the hell they were doing, because I bet you IU did not charge a lick difference between copyrights. I bet it's the same. I bet they charge the same. They don't care.
Could be. I don't know. I don't know if that, I don't know how long.
There's probably not that many people asking to use that copyright. And if you're dumb enough to ask to use that, charge them full price, baby.
That's probably true. There probably aren't a lot of people asking for it, but you know what I would like to see? This is totally cosmetic, but on the field, you know what I want to see in the end zones? We talk about, separating yourself from the basketball team if Indiana football wants its own identity. I don't think so. I would like to see, the back of the warm-ups has the script Indiana. I would like to see a red end zone with the white script Indiana in the middle of that end zone. I think that would look really crisp, but they haven't done it yet.
You know what? It's funny you say that. All right, court and field. I recently was having this conversation with someone who works for IU in a capacity that they have no involvement in this game day operations, whatever. They're younger, they're newer, but they did tell me that, yeah, they've heard those conversations being had. And what I'm talking about is game day experience. To me, the game day experience at both IU basketball and IU football is, well, let's say it leaves a lot to be desired. I think the game day experience at IU basketball is tired. It is the same thing they have been doing since I was in college and further back probably. In the pregame, when the pregame warm-up is going on and the team's out there, they're playing music over the system. Music that's kind of getting you pumped up, getting the players pumped up. And every time they're halfway into a song, the damn band strikes up to play some stupid-ass thing from 1960 that the old donors are used to hearing. Stop with that crap. It's time to freshen it up, man. You've got to look to bringing in the next wave of fans. The football, it definitely got to do something but besides winning cures a lot, but you've got to do something. You've got to the game day experience at IU is just not that great in my personal opinion. And this person that I was talking to, who was a younger person working at IU, came from a different school and another Big Ten school. And I'm like, and she's like, yeah, it's very stiff. It's very, of course it is. It's always been that way. IU has always been stiff. Before it was under Bob Knight, but he was winning, so it didn't matter. But now they're still catering, and I hate to say this, but to a very elderly fan base for a bigger part, maybe of like the seats. They brag about Indiana basketball having the largest student section in college sports. They're definitely far from the most impactful student section, and I'm not blaming that on the students. They're up in that corner of Assembly Hall that goes all the way up to the top, 46 rows up, and then maybe in the balcony as well. You're not putting them to use by doing that. So it doesn't matter, and then it gives them less incentive. Those seats suck. They're terrible.
You know what I like about, I think Ohio State, Michigan State does this. I don't even think Purdue does this to an extent. Yeah, they have them down lower, but I would like to see like a lot of those lower level seats. And I know they do this for donors and decades long season ticket holders, but that lower, like those kids only get 4 years to go to these games. Let them have the lower rung, or at least do some sort of class system where, seniors, maybe seniors and juniors and seniors get those lower level seats, and do that kind of all around the arena. You look at the I-Zone. I don't know if that's on both sides or if it's just one side. I've only been to one game at the Breslin Center, and it was a Christmas break game, so I didn't get the full experience. But when you have those students right on top of you, I mean, look at Cameron Indoor Stadium. There's a reason it's one of the, it's not a big arena, but there's a reason it's one of the hardest to win in. And it's not just because Duke's good every year. It's because those students are right on top of you. They're ruthless. So I've sat in those balcony seats. Those are terrible. I've sat as far up and as far to the left, and I couldn't even watch the game on the Jumbotron, to be quite honest with you. So I just think that if you were to put the students down in those lower levels, first of all, in my opinion, I understand people donate a lot of money. You could still dedicate a certain section or certain sections throughout the arena to those, but these kids only get 4 years to watch basketball, football games live. Let them get that opportunity, and then it creates more of a home court advantage for you.
I agree exactly. I think that the end zones definitely should be students, number one, next to the band, and then on the other end, definitely got to have students in there, and that same level around in a circle. Yeah. Exactly. Juniors and seniors, if there's enough to fill that area, that's who gets those seats.
Right. And you could probably limit it to just one side even, and then have your donors on the other side.
Maybe.
But then at least you'd have 3/4 of it be students in that lower lap. That would be better than what it is with them up in the balcony, as far up as a balcony.
Agree. Yeah. I agree. I mean, you talked about Cameron. Cameron only holds 9,000 people.
Yeah.
Indiana has a 7,000 student section of 7,000. But let me tell you, it is not even close to having the impact that the students at Cameron do.
Right.
Because they're allowed, first of all, I think they go for free, or if it may not be free, but it's first come, first serve, because when I've been there for the games against Indiana, they have to line up. First of all, that's how Krzyzewskiville started. They start camping out for every game because it's first in line, yada, 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 first come, first serve. And then they come in, and you've got that first row media seats. And I talked about this when we played them a couple of years ago. The students are literally behind the very first row of the media, where the media sits, and they will literally, if they're wearing paint on them, you will leave with paint on you, because they lean over, they lean between you. It's part of the Duke experience when you go there. If you're in the media, you're going to get it. But that's kind of great. That makes it a very, very difficult place to play. Assembly Hall used to be a very, very difficult place to play because of the noise, because it was packed. They've lost that. Of course, winning changes that, of course. But I still think the students, man, it looks better on TV. It's a much more difficult. You think it's difficult to play in Assembly Hall the way it has been? When you put the students around like that and you create that noise, it's over, because it gets really loud, and teenagers are loud.
Well, and that's all part of the experience too, right? Like, that's what separates college basketball, and for this matter, college football, from the NBA and the NFL. You don't have that same sort of experience. You don't have 18 to 22-year-olds painting themselves up and enjoying a few, whether they're underage or of age, beverages before the game and getting rowdy and amped up and everything. It's just part of that experience. And I don't understand why certain places don't. Again, I know it's about donors and money, and that's what ultimately drives the decisions being made. But when you only have 4 years to do this, sometimes, maybe 5 years, at least have some sort of class system where you get the juniors and seniors down there, and, and maybe you put the freshmen and sophomores up at a higher or different part of the arena. I don't know what the answer is, but you can, if Michigan State, Ohio State have figured this thing out, I'm sure there's other schools that I'm leaving out. You can find a way to do it. It doesn't, throw tradition to the side. You might have some angry, upset fans, but at the same time, if those kids, what's going to happen is if those students have a good experience going to those games, they're going to be more likely in the future to then donate. That's how you build up your fan base. That's how you build up that sort of stuff, and eventually leads to more donors. But no, I don't make those decisions. They don't pay me to make any of those decisions. I just write about it and talk about it.
Dustin wearing the Florida hat as Central Florida beats the Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl for the first time ever. The Military Bowl and the Fenway Bowl canceled due to COVID-19. The Hawaii Bowl canceled when Hawaii pulls out. I'm willing to put together a team to go and play the Hawaii Bowl right now.
I'll go with you.
I just start the engines. I will have the players by the time departure's ready to go, but I can put a team together to play Hawaii.
Yeah, I would do that too. I'll gladly hop on the plane. I'll play whatever position you need me to.
And I'm sure you can help me fill in the spots as well.
Yeah.
So that should not be a problem. Let's see. What else was I just looking at? Someone dropped out of Miami. Withdrawals from the Sun Bowl.
Yep.
Citing a COVID out. I'm starting to really. There's no way we made it through last year, not knowing what we did, having so much less knowledge and so much less everything, but yet we made it through most, if not all, those bowl games, to my knowledge.
Well, there were 18. Excuse me. We had 18 canceled, I believe was the final tally last year. We had 18 canceled.
18 bowl games?
18 bowl games were canceled. And I don't know where that stacked up in terms of what that percentage is. It's got to be somewhere around 50%. But the thing about this year is these are old protocols that, again, the NCAA or the oversight committee did not update. And so you have these that are falling under most of these kids, I don't know that there's a team out there that has under a 90% vaccination rate. So, and these kids are healthy, they're asymptomatic. There's a lot of, look, I'm not trying to say what the right decision is, but
these games are being canceled for no reason. We're still doing things out of an overabundance of caution when we don't need to be.
I agree. I don't know. That's well put. I mean, I don't know how, and maybe part of this is how much do these kids want to play in these games? A lot. And plus you look at these coaching staffs, Miami's going through a whole new coaching staff.
See, now that's the truth. Now we're getting to the truth. I guarantee you the current coach would rather his players not play in another game until he gets them. So I don't believe that all these teams are all of a sudden falling out over this, but part of it, like you said, is the old, protocols in place, but it really makes you wonder about some of them because last year everybody was doing everything they could to play, and it just doesn't seem like everybody's working that hard this season.
Well, not in the postseason. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what is happening to the point where, and I don't know what this testing protocols are. We had the vaccination rates. You have teams that are getting boosters as like a team. I mean, I don't know what to call it other than like a team event. They're bringing in to get the booster shot. I think Michigan even did that, and I think Purdue basketball did it. There's some outliers there. I just don't understand. Again, I've said this. The college football playoff committee said that we're not going to, basically there's going to be no flexibility with this stuff. And if you have three teams that have a high test positive rate, you're going to, they're going to, the one team that is still able to play is going to be crowned the national champion. I mean, come on, if there's a serious situation here, then delay the games. We found a way to play when things were much worse in 2020, when we had far less knowledge. We can figure this out. We can certainly figure this out. And again, I don't know what the situation is. I think that the protocols are probably outdated. I don't know. There's a lot of different factors going on. You have injuries, you have opt-outs, you have transfer portal, all that stuff combining. If you're having to rely on your walk-ons and play, I mean, there is a legitimate thought that if somebody, you have to field a team with 6 or 7 players that didn't play all season, people could get hurt. That might be the bigger concern as opposed to testing positive. It could be more the fact that we have 4 or 5 guys that didn't play all season. Now they're going to have to go up and play. I don't even know who Miami's opponent was. Washington State, maybe. You got to play another Power 5 team that's at full strength.
I can tell you this, though. We have not seen one major bowl game canceled.
I don't think you will either.
Exactly. And my point next, I guarantee you, Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Cincinnati, they're not going to have these problems.
I don't think so.
Magical. Brother, what's coming up for you next? I guess we'll talk to you Thursday, hopefully.
You will not actually, because we have a lot of games that day. But what we do have coming up is we have a preview for every Big Ten bowl game. Fingers crossed that they all go through this week. Basically 5 reasons why each team playing in the postseason can win their bowl game. We have obviously keeping up to date on the transfer portal stuff, national championship stuff, or college football playoff semifinal stuff, I should say. So plenty of content out there, especially this week. This is our last big week, really, and maybe we get another one if Michigan beats Georgia, but plenty of bowl game content, and obviously with the college basketball season now in full swing, we got a lot of basketball stuff going on there.
Yeah, when is the first major bowl game?
Oh, you would ask that. Minnesota
Yeah,
plays Tuesday. I think Thursday is the Peach Bowl, Music City Bowl, the Las Vegas Bowl, I believe. So those are your first the first New Year's Six game is that Peach Bowl with Michigan State playing Pitt, but Kenny Pickett and Kenneth Walker both opted out of that. So what was thought to be a fun kind of shootout game is now
Tuesday.
Tempered.
Tuesday, I mean, I cannot believe Auburn is playing in the Birmingham Bowl, first of all. But you have Auburn and Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. That could be fun. I don't know, man. I don't know if Auburn could hold Houston's offense down.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch. There's so many intriguing matchups this year in the postseason. That's why I hate some of these transfer portal and opt-out decisions. I understand why people, especially high draft picks, opt out of these games, but at the same time, I mean, I just use the Peach Bowl as an example. How fun would it be to see Kenneth Walker run through that defense and Kenny Pickett go against the worst pass defense in the country? I mean, like, that game could have been 55-52, just an absolute shootout and a lot of fun, but it is what it is. This is where we are in college football. I don't like it, but it's where we're at.
I don't like it. All right, brother. We appreciate you taking your time out today, and Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas
New
and Happy
Year's.
New Year.
Enjoy your time with your brother and your mom down there. I saw. So, are you actually up north?
I'm down in Florida, baby. I might get another round of golf in here before too long.
It's warm enough to play here. I just don't have the time because I'm working.
I am too, but I'm gonna try to carve out a morning where I can go play nine holes or 18 holes while I'm here.
Brother, appreciate you. Dustin Schutte from Saturday Tradition taking time off to join us here on this Monday as we try to get caught up on the bowl situation. So we appreciate him. We'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurants.
If you're in the market,
You'll have about 10 minutes to fill by yourself. And if you want to bring back up Juwan and OG, we have that clip if you want to bring that up again for a few minutes.
That and the bowl games.
Yeah, I'm so sick of imagine, I guess it's the equivalent, and it makes sense too in this regard. It's the equivalent of opting out if you're in like the NIT or something like that. But it's still,
yeah, but this is different because
it's still ridiculous though. I wish they would do an FCS style tournament with, I don't know how many teams they do, but they do like 16 or 32, something like that. And just drop the bowl games altogether, because then you won't have anybody opting out.
Well, see, that's the thing. Say, all right, if you motherfuckers want to drop out. Whoops, are we still recording? Damn it.
I mean, whoops. Where did that come from?
I don't know. If you all want to drop out, then here's what we're going to do. Exactly what you said. We're going to create the scenario where these teams are in and everybody else is out. We're not going to worry about these low-end bowls. I'm not going to worry about the Quick Lane Bowl and the Birmingham Bowl and First Responder Bowl and all that. They're gone. You don't even have a choice.
Where we're heading. I don't know how far down the road,
but see, but those teams like Air Force and Louisville and Texas Tech and Mississippi State, they're in those bowls. They're going to go whoa, because they make money in those bowls. Well, if they don't make money, they get exposure in those bowls, and I'll
tell you what, though, Louisville fans being down here, they're not happy about being in the First Responder Bowl. They're pissed off.
Well, of course not.
Scott Satterfield still.
Well, but that's irrelevant. That's not relevant to my argument.
Okay.
That's Not to be, I don't.
I thought you
dispute
were
that.
saying Louisville was happy to be in the first responder bowl. I was like, I don't really think they want
Happy
to
to be in a bowl game as opposed to nothing.
That's true.
So
I guess.
if we had that thing in place where you're either, these top teams and you're playing or you're not, and they're in that not category, and then you ask them, but since you're in this not category, would you rather have been playing in a bowl game at least?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Well, you had that, but you used to bitch about that. So now it's gone.
That's where we're headed.
Did you mark that a minute ago?
We're not on the air. We're on a commercial.
Right, I know, but don't you have to get that off for YouTube?
Usually I don't get when we're in break for YouTube, usually it doesn't affect anything, but here we go.
All right.
Bulls.com or
You can't get an FCC violation on
298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurants.
Welcome back. It is a post-Christmas Monday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and a good start to your week. A week that is, I don't know, kind of a dead week. It's just, if you are working, it's kind of hard to be motivated. And if you're not, you're lucky. So there's that. Just finished up with Dustin Schutte talking about a lot of different things. A lot of bowl games getting canceled. And I was in the break was talking about, a lot of these lower level bowl games. Hey, just take them away and say these top 20 teams are the teams that are going to get to play, and the rest of you are out of luck. Then you'll find out those teams are like, whoa. We don't want to miss out on this. And then those bowl games don't look so inadequate to you. I'm sure Auburn fans are absolutely not ecstatic about playing in the Birmingham Bowl. I'm shocked to see Auburn playing in the Birmingham Bowl, to be honest with you, a name of that stature, but it is what it is. And just because it's beneath you, some teams do consider it like that, or they just don't play well. I remember going to the Sugar Bowl a few years, Louisville against Florida, and Florida has had that same thing. Well, Louisville with Teddy Bridgewater beat the snot out of them in the Sugar Bowl. So I think that those bowl games, while there are a few too many, that's part of it. Either shorten those bowl games down and make it, worthy again. But I don't know that we're going to be able to go back. NIL, transfer portal. It was getting bad enough before that happened with guys sitting out just to protect themselves for the NFL draft. We would see the top players. But now they're transferring if they're not just sitting out. So all kinds of things. On the positive side, UCLA transfer linebacker Miles Jackson over the weekend or whenever he knocked down his list to 4, and he will visit Indiana. He is scheduled to visit to Indiana and Jackson State. So it's going to come down to playing in the Big Ten or playing for Dion. And I trust me, I know how well Tom Allen can pitch a story. I bet Dion can pitch pretty well too, because he's doing a good job down there. His visit to Jackson State is on the 3rd, and he will be in Bloomington on January 5th. So at least Indiana gets the last say, so to speak. And I always like that if you're recruiting someone, if you get them last, it's always good to have that last statement in. But Could be a big grit. Although, I saw some people judging from his other schools on his list because it was Jackson State, East Carolina, and Georgia Southern, I think, in Indiana. Well, all those schools are close to him, his home, where he comes from. They're smaller, yeah, but I think he probably was looking at Indiana. It's Indiana, Jackson State. There's probably no question there. You're either going to play in the Big Ten or you're going to play for Deion Sanders. Now, what is his goal? Is his goal? Yeah, I know that they're building something there, Jackson State, but how fast until people are really seen there versus playing in the Big Ten? It's going to be this is going to be an interesting challenge for Tom Allen going up against Deion. He's going to have to get his alumnus Derek Jackson in on that. We have to give DJ a call. Say, hey man, reach out to our boy Miles Jackson. Just kidding. I don't think you're allowed to do that. So I was completely joking. No NCAA infractions here, please. Let's not forget this football class that Indiana pulled in. They came off of a horrible season. Horrible. I mean, as bad as it gets. But yet they managed to keep everyone except for Josh Hoover, whom I don't know how much better of a season they would have had to be able to keep him once Sonny Dykes got involved at TCU and Lincoln Riley's brother, who is the OC, is involved there. We'll see. Reese Taylor going to Purdue. I mentioned, as soon as I saw him in the portal, I was like, man, I can see him ending up at Purdue.
What is with this? This is something I've been wondering with all these transfers. What is with this Indiana to Purdue transfer pipeline that we've experienced over the past season? We've had Samson James, we've had a DeMarge Lewis, and now we've had
DeMarge from? Where's DeMarge from?
Do you know? I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know, but I know the other two are from the Indianapolis area. So you've got Purdue right up the road, a program that's playing well, that Jeff Brom is doing good things with. So there you go. They're on the rise. Indiana, they're not certain about right now. They're just not sure about.
It's one of those things, though. Did the rivalry ever mean anything to you? Or
That's a great question.
Indiana?
That's a great question. And because rivalries did, I can go back to high school. I cannot in any way imagine going to my rival school to play. It just, I know this is a different age and this is a different level, but even at that, if that rivalry was true. And so, yeah, I don't think right now that rivalry is carrying what it carried. Now, is part of that because, 15% of the team is from Florida? You've got 26 guys on this team that live in Florida alone. How many guys on this team are from another state?
It's true, but those aren't the ones
70?
that you're seeing transfer to Purdue, though. That's the thing.
I get that. But that means if 70% of the guys are not even from around here, how deep can that, are they really getting that rivalry to matter?
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's a great question. I mean, that is rare to see, but to see it in that number, it's more than disappointing. But it really opens up questions.
Especially since I believe all three of those, with the exception, I guess, maybe of Samson James, had seen significant playing time, especially Reese Taylor. And Samson James didn't want to play second fiddle to Stephen Carr. He thought he was going to be the starter. So you can kind of understand that. Maybe you have a little bit of anger towards the Indiana coaching staff. I'm not saying that's how he felt, but maybe there was something there. And so in order to quote unquote get back at them, you go and play for the rival. Now, I'm just making up a scenario. I'm not saying that's what his thoughts
Very
were.
possible.
But yeah.
Very possible. Forrest says he believes the players that opt out of competition should have to pay the school back a semester of scholarship money. It's a 4-year scholarship, finished a year. Let's see. Ross said bowl season's becoming like a watered down bottle of whiskey. No bueno. There's that. We were talking earlier about the student section. Taterology says the student section doesn't seem to be very organized like at some other schools. I'll agree with that. Now, in soccer, they are. Even in football, I think they do a better job. I'll be honest with you. This past season, as bad as the football team was, man, you got to give it up for the student section. I'm telling you, they would come out. They had that viral moment in the Rutgers game when Indiana couldn't do jack squat. So you got to give. I think I give it up to them. But yeah, I think that the game day experience needs to be adjusted. It needs to be modernized. You've got to start bringing in fresh. Make it fresh. Even the coaches shows. Something that when I go there, that's got to be revitalized. And I think it will be next year. But hey, we got to take a break. We're having a lot of fun here. Who's coming up next? Jim Reamer, I think.
Yes,
What time
sir.
is it? 10 o'clock. So Jim Reamer, we're going to talk about some recruiting and what went on in high school ball, amongst other things. Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Don't forget our friends at Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic with the specialty sleep device, and our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant. Patterson and Rogers here in Bloomington. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration or
Howdy.
Morning, Jim.
Morning.
Howdy, where are you coming from?
Greenfield, Green Tucky.
Well, I meant you're
Green
not
Tucky.
in your normal.
I'm a howdy guy. I'm a howdy guy.
You're not. I meant you're not in your normal location.
Oh, this is the secondary studio.
This the cat place?
Yeah. Yeah, this girlfriend's house in Greenfield, yeah.
You know, John, you never reminded me. I never decorated the studio for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Forgot.
Hey Jim,
Oh.
next year decorate the studio for Christmas.
Yeah.
There you go. Now you've been reminded.
Yeah, that's all it take. I could have just hung a Christmas hat up or something. Oh man, when does high school ball even get back? The 20. I know.
Today.
Oh, they're back today.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, there's 8 games going on today at Terre Haute South, Wabash Valley.
Oh, a tournament.
Yeah.
Who's playing in it?
I think from the context of this show would be Joey Hart from Linton. I mean, it's mostly Terre Haute area schools,
Gotcha.
including 3 teams from Illinois.
CJ Gunn comes back on the 28th.
Yep. Where are they playing this week? I need to...
Tinley.
Oh, the
Tinley.
Hempstead game. Yeah. That'll be an intense game. Where am I? The
Plus-
28th.
Lawrence North. They don't have anybody else, right?
Kobe Bowles is a good sophomore guard. He should be a junior, but he's
Does Omar? Does he play?
yeah. He doesn't. He didn't start the game I watched, but he definitely plays. Now he may not have been fully healthy the game I watched. At Tinley, that's a cracker box of a gym. Shit, that's going to be a that's going to be a game. I'll be up at Noblesville tomorrow.
All right. I'm going to pull this back in.
If you're in the market for a new Honda, Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington has the deals for you. How about a brand new 2021 or 2022 Honda Pilot? All the trims for 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down. Or how about a brand new 2021 Honda Passport? Also 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sillersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. It is Monday. Hope you're having a good start to your week. Jim Coyle with you as always. Jim Reamer joining me from Courtside, Indiana. Jim, how are you doing, man? How was Christmas?
Excellent. It was good. It's like a three-day ordeal.
Anything exciting? Did you get anything exciting?
I've got a bit of a shoe problem, so I got a nice pair of shoes that are borderline slippers, but sort of a mix between slippers and shoes. So that's a good. They look like my shoes, but they fit and feel like slippers. So that's a good thing for me as a guy who often will roll around without wearing socks. So
good to know that you're walking in comfort now.
Very comfortable. Olakai shoes. You need a new sponsor. Maybe not a new sponsor, but an additional sponsor. Olakai shoes are incredibly comfortable.
Never even heard of them, but
yeah.
Probably too comfortable to play basketball in, and that's what gets back to going now. High school basketball with they probably take one of the smallest breaks, man. They're back at it again today, and then more importantly, saw over the weekend I chatted with actually Chris Gunn, but CJ Gunn, Indiana's signee, is released, and he'll be coming back to play on the 28th here in a few days against Tinley High School up in Indianapolis.
That'll be at Tinley. So that's a very if you're an IU guy that likes to travel around and watch IU prospects and recruits play, Tinley's a very small gym. So get there early. You may even try to email the coach or the athletics director just to see what they're expecting as far as crowds and how you can get in there. I mean, it's a tight fit. It's basically Keystone and Fall Creek, the north, what I would say is like the old northeast side. It's sort of by the Indiana State. It's not sort of by, it's really close to the Indiana State Fairgrounds. So, but it's a good area. It's a good area. It's just a really, really small gym.
I know this is football, but Indiana, Miles Jackson, and I'm not going to sell this, they're getting a visit from him on the 5th of January, and that follows a visit that he's going to take to Jackson State. So I know you're not a big follow football a ton, but Tom Allen. So this is coming down to Tom Allen or Deion Sanders. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that being your decision point?
You consider how much Coach Allen is hitting it out of the park as far as recruiting goes, especially following the year they had. How effective he must be in recruiting, just from a standpoint of not only just personality, but relatability to the players and also sincerity. I think that's what a lot of these guys. Did you see the Isaiah Thomas stuff that came out this past weekend?
I did not.
I don't even know if it was current, but it just came across my feed where he's talking with Channing Frye, and he's actually the interviewee, and Channing Frye's interviewing him, and he tells this story about Coach Knight recruiting him and how Coach Knight made a joke about the Klan during the recruiting meeting, and how Isaiah's brother wanted to fight him. And Bob Knight rolls his sleeves up and basically says, "You want to take this outside?"
Are you kidding me?
And Isaiah tells Channing Frye, he goes, I looked over at my mom and I saw my mom's face and I said, "Oh crap, I'm going to Indiana." And he's like, my mother loved him. He was honest. He was sincere. He didn't put up with anybody's crap. And and it's a good story. I mean, it's definitely meant well intentioned. I mean, Isaiah was smiling the whole time, and he talked about how his mother made the decision for him, and obviously, even though I know he had I think they bumped some heads early in his freshman year, he obviously credits that relationship with propelling him, for the rest of his future. But that's that leads me back to the old sincerity part of you know what you knew what you were going to get, maybe some intensity levels, but you knew what you were going to get with Knight. It was always going to be honest, and it was always going to be sincere, and there was never going to be any BS about it. And I wonder if it may be a softer approach, but definitely the sincerity aspect of it that Coach Allen takes to all of his recruiting meetings and wins these guys over, because they had a terrible year and he still seems to be pulling in a bunch of talented kids.
Well, the best class that they've ever had. They're going to end up being a top, the first time ever, they're going to be a top 20 class.
Yeah.
It's crazy to be able to get them. That was an achievement. To keep them, that is beyond. It blows my mind that he's been able to keep.
Well, but he's
them.
also
They lost Josh Hoover, but
he's building on it too. I mean, a lot of I don't follow it tightly from a football perspective, but I mean, it seems like a lot of these guys have made decisions of late. So they know they know the kind of year Indiana had. They still want to go there. They want to make a change. They want to make a difference.
The one thing that is an issue that I was just talking about, they've had 3 transfers go to frickin' Purdue.
Oh yeah.
That's and not just anybody. Samson James, Reese Taylor, and along with DeMarge Lewis. But Samson James was the guy that flipped from Ohio State to go to Indiana.
Yeah.
Big time. Reese Taylor, of course, a gigantic recruiting win when he was winning a state championship and being the guy and coming to Indiana. That was a gigantic recruiting win. And now to have them go to leave your program and go to Purdue, that has to be a slap in the face to Tom Allen, because first of all, that tells me that rivalry didn't mean jack to you, because there's no way in hell, like even when I was in high school, I went to Floyd Central. You couldn't have gotten me to play for New Albany for anything in the world.
Right.
Not happening. And I know this is a different level, and people like Samson James and Reese Taylor are probably looking at their future, and that's a difference. But I don't know. I get it. Purdue's close. You got Jeff Brom. They're on the rise. I get it. It makes sense from every sense except for the fact that it was a rivalry. So how stupid is that to let that stand in your way of doing what's best for you? Probably not. So if they may be making the best decision for them, maybe it's just a part of today's athletic world, Jim, with transfers and the portal and the instant playing ability and blah, blah, blah. NIL, maybe that kept them close to home.
That could be. Yeah, the NIL issue will be examined later. I mean, we'll learn how that impacts players' decisions. Even some guys that maybe go to a mid-major because they'll be in a community where they'll be the guy, not just the guy of the team, but the guy in the community or region. But I mean, your example of Floyd Central would be the same thing for me, being a Carmel guy, thinking I might go to Noblesville or I might go to North Central. And I think it's different when you grow up in it. Today's kids, I don't think too many of them grow up in a world where they're linked to one team or completely understand rivalries until they get there. So I don't know what I think it's one thing to know that Indiana's big rival is Purdue, but it's another thing to know what it means to you until you actually experience it. And if you're transferring that early in the process, which these guys did, you're 1 foot out the door anyway. So you're clearly not taking that aspect of it too seriously to begin with.
So where's Leo? Is Leo just for? I don't say it's not for show.
No, I think it's the sincerity that lets him get those guys. But I think at the same time these kids have got to look. I don't think you should be able to have intra-conference transfers come without sitting out a year, and that would obviously include from a basketball perspective Miller Kopp going from Northwestern to Indiana. I think
I don't disagree with it. I
think
disagree with
that's
that.
too big, and I don't really follow football that much, so I don't know that I have too big of a dog in this hunt when it comes to
for
what you
for
pitch.
another thing, you got a Samson James that can take the entire freaking playbook right over to your opponent, and the same with Reese Taylor on the other side of the ball. So they've got guys from both sides of the ball now from Indiana transferring.
Well, Indiana will have a new playbook next year, right?
Well, who knows?
Let's give Purdue that playbook and say, here, this is what they're going to do from now on.
Yeah, well, and that's true. They don't know who the hell their quarterback's going to be, so that's true.
I think from a rivalry standpoint, I would say that they're not buying into it as much as you and I do because, we grew up in it. I don't know that how much kids today grow up in that stuff.
Let's see. Brendan Stiles. Ridiculous religious fanatics are why the Military Bowl between Boston College and East Carolina was canceled? ? College athletes are at zero risk. Canceling the games is anti-science, and they're following blah blah blah. Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. Yeah, all these bowl games getting canceled. We were talking about that earlier. How that some of this is because of old protocols being in place for COVID that are not even valid now. But that stinks. But Kenneth asked, how'd you enjoy the Spartan Bowl and the Connorsville Greenfield Central game? Is that a game you attended?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was I've been to Connorsville many times, so that was not that was definitely not a first time for me to be there. But no, I enjoyed the game. I think Connorsville is really, really good. Really deep. But we just got done talking about the hierarchy of 3A in our podcast, and they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in that class. I think we had like a list of 6 teams that I think we still see are extremely viable candidates to win state. They're one of them. They're going to be the best defensive team in 3A, and they've got a big challenge coming up this week in the Hall of Fame Classic, starting with Westfield, and then they'll play either Homestead or Cathedral, depending on who wins and who loses. But the Spartan Bowl is a typical bowl-shaped gym. It seats about 5,600, maybe 6,000. Smaller than Newcastle's, bigger than Carmel, all similar type gyms. It's smaller than the Hatchet House, smaller than Southport, which are also bowl gyms that have, in those 2 cases, gutted out a lower level and put in temporary bleachers. But no, Spartan Bowl is a fun place to play because there's not a bad seat in the house.
So which one is the Spartan Bowl?
Connorsville.
I've not been to that. What is your absolute favorite old gym that you've been in?
Current or ever?
Well, both.
Ever would be the Wigwam.
Yeah,
Anderson. If nothing else, because
I never got to see a game in there. I did get to interview. What was the coach? Longtime coach there.
Norm Held or Ron Hecklinski.
No, it was Norm Held. This was back when I was a pissant working into sport. I was a student.
Would have been 80s or not. Well, that would have been, he was there from the 70s into the 80s.
This was around
90s.
90. This is around, what was Damon Bailey's senior year? This was 90.
Yeah.
I created a Final Four pregame show and so cool. I interviewed Norm Held, and I interviewed one of the other coaches. I forget. It may have been the Southport coach because they were in Southport.
Springer.
And
Bill Springer.
Yeah. Then you had Bedford, and I forget the other school. It had
Concord,
right? Yep. So, but we did a Final Four preview show, and so that was pretty cool. But that was my only chance to get to go to the Wigwam. I had to go up there and interview him, and it was just like a regular old school gym with the rolled back bleachers, except it was just enormous with 9,000 seats, kind of like Seymour, just a little bit bigger than Seymour.
Just a touch bigger, a little.
So it would have been the biggest gym in the state had they, a year ago, because a year ago Seymour was the biggest gym until they reconfigured Newcastle to get back up there.
Yeah, Newcastle. That's more like an accounting error, though. But what made the Wigwam even more impressive is that one side was just a stage. So you basically
Really?
have 9,000 seats just on 3 sides.
Oh, see, I
That's
didn't
how-
remember that.
That's how massive that place was, and that's
Holy crap.
I mean, they could have blown that thing out and made it even bigger, and it's a shame. People don't understand. I mean, if you're like an
And it
IU
would be
guy,
full. It would be full
Yes.
back in the day too.
but if you're an IU guy and you were like obviously going to watch Ray Tolbert in high school and Stu Robinson in high school and Winston Morgan, Anderson on a year in year out basis, you throw in the Gary brothers, Greg and Mark at Anderson Highland, and then the teams they had in the early '90s with Zachary and Brad Ash and Scooter Hagen, those dudes. Basketball in Anderson there was always 3 really good teams. People complain about how tough sectional 10 is in 4A, or how tough sectional 8 is in 4A, and how those need to be split up or seeded or blah, 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 whatever. The Anderson sectional was always, those 3 Anderson schools, year in, year out, were always in the top 10 or top 15 teams in the state. Alexandria was always usually pretty good for a small, at that time, extremely rural school. And those other rural schools that made up that sectional, there was always 1 or 2 of them that would always be good enough to kind of just compete and sneak around. And Alexandria was good enough to win that thing a couple of times, despite the power that the Anderson schools had. But you had Anderson, you had Madison Heights, and then you had Highland, and they all had really great pregame shows. Obviously, the Wigwam was more about the warrior and the squaw, the dance they do, the warrior dance. And then my favorite, I hate to say it, was Highland, because they always had the bagpipes per session. They had
Floyd Central Highlanders, baby.
Yeah, they had. Do you do that there too? They don't do that at Floyd Central though, do they?
Yeah, we're the Highlanders.
But do they do
Scottish
bagpipes before
Highlander.
the game? Do they do a
Yeah.
bagpipe? Oh, do they really? Nice. I need
They
to get
play
down
the
there for
school
that.
song with. They play the school song with it. Dressed in
Nice.
the kilt, the whole deal. Got the whole deal.
All just one person or a bunch of them?
Like 4 of them, I think.
Okay, well,
From
this
my
is like marching. This is like 30 people.
Oh, well, these are all
Doing-
4 of these are in the Scottish kilts and all that, though.
Right. These are 30 people in kilts and full Scottish garb doing choreography, choreography. Gee, many Christmas. And marching and doing a little show on the floor of the basketball. And then Madison Heights had their drum brigade, their drum corps, do stuff at the beginning of the game and then the start of the 4th quarter. And it always a unique experience when you went to one of those 3 schools. And it's too bad a lot of that is lost. Anderson still does their pregame warrior dance, and then they have since adopted the Madison Heights drum corps that they do the start of the 4th quarter. So
I think
so it's
when,
a little bit
we-
of a memory.
Well, when I was in school, I think we used the bagpipers to play the school song, and
Yeah.
then the girls, then all the girls would line up and they would kind of do a river dance kind of a thing.
See, I don't know. When was the
See-
last time you were at a game there?
I went to the New Albany game not too long ago, but I didn't see
Next-
all that crap.
I was going to say, because I went to their Evansville Rights game a couple years ago. I'm not sure.
I didn't see all that pregame stuff, but we got to take a quick break or John's going to cut my hands off. We'll be back with more with Jim Reamer right after this on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration. You have any insight about the big man at Kokomo this year?
Oh yeah, lots.
I wasn't
Who
even
is
getting
that?
handsy yet with the break. All I did was say break after you finish this topic of conversation.
After
Who is
my
the guy at Kokomo?
Fiore Badunga,
Theora Badunga. Where's he from?
Congo. He's part of a program at
Congo.
Kokomo that with a certain visa you get into their program, and he just happens to be a tremendous basketball player or talent. He's a top player in 2024.
The top player in 24?
It's a bad class, but yeah, he's
Oh.
now the top. He's now the top guy. Yeah, it's not even close as far as recruiting and
How tall? How
Talent.
big is he?
6'10", freakish. He's really long and athletic, and he is.
How long has he been playing basketball?
I think 3 or 4 years.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and he is plays hard. I love his motor. You know, when we talk about Booker, if Booker played like he did, then you'd have something. I mean, then I think you'd really have something.
Booker's not going to make it.
But this kid's got a much better body too, which obviously Xavier can't control that. This kid's
Xavier doesn't work hard enough, man.
No,
I watched him in that game against up at Southport.
Yeah, and
he should be dominating. You give me that body, I'm like, throw me that ball. I'm gonna turn around and just.
But how many? You really look at him though, and this part of it he can't control. Okay, he can't control what I'm about to say. When you look at him, his body type, how many kids like that have been successful in the Big Ten?
He's too skinny.
Right. I mean, there's that. I mean, you look at Peter Jerkin, you look at Clifton Moore.
Trace Jackson Davis, the reason he can get away with not having a shot yet is because he's been built like he is right now since he was in high school. I remember
pretty much. Frame.
I was like,
he had that frame.
I mean, he's bigger, of course, but I was like, damn, he's thick for a high school kid. So that helps.
There's an aspect of that with Book that he can't control. He can't control his center of gravity to
no, but you got to gain weight, and I know that it's hard to in high school because I couldn't gain weight in high school, and you also don't have the weight and nutrition and all that stuff development programs that you'll have in college.
But here's the other thing too: you look at his body and you wonder how much weight can he gain.
No, sorry, I was going to let you finish your point.
Okay. You can go on. We can talk about this on the air if you want.
We're going. Okay, we're going to.
If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this post-Christmas Monday. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays season going on. What'd you get for Christmas, Jim? Jim Reamer with me from Courtside Indiana.
You asked already. I got those shoes.
I did.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear that again.
Lined,
Olakai shoes, lined the lined Maloas. Those are things.
I got some knickknacks. My favorite thing that I got was this pullover for my daughter.
Nice.
One that was nice, stretchy. I love the material. PGA, one of the PGA things. I don't have this color, so that is nice. I'll look forward to wearing this.
Is it a windbreaker? Is it just
no? It's just one of those quarter zip pullovers, man.
Okay. All right.
If you see me out 80% of the time, I'm going to be wearing a quarter zip pullover.
I'm too in the fall and winter and spring for sure. Yeah.
I love them.
It doubles your wardrobe.
Boy, does it. Easy.
Yeah, you can wear a short sleeve shirt underneath it and
change colors underneath of it all the time. Boom. Oh man, it's magical. It is magical.
It's magic.
Indiana high school basketball we've been talking about, and when we were in the break, we were talking about a couple of players. Someone had asked about where did I go? It ran down. Let's see.
Fiore Badunga, Kokomo.
Yeah. How you spell that?
Fiory. First name is Fiore Badunga, Bidunga. He is. I think he's from the Congo. I'd have to have Coach Peckinpah remind me on that, but. Kokomo has a program, an immigration program where they can accept certain types of visas. And it's obviously for an academic opportunity. And I don't know the full extent of his past, but he happens to be just a fabulously talented basketball player. Now he's still pretty raw, but in the class of 2024, he has jumped to the top of the list in a class that is going to, we've talked in the past about this on here. We talked a little bit on my podcast about how 2024 is going to be, especially from a high major perspective, kind of a struggle bus is to see if any of those kids break through. But he's a kid that should, and he is physically he passes all the tests.
Spell his name again.
Fiory. Fiore. Badunga is Bidunga.
Bidunga. Pretty simple, actually.
Yep, 6'10", super long. Very good athlete, has been playing basketball for about 4 years.
But he's very coachable.
Yes, he is. He plays hard. Like his relentless motor, and he will sometimes play his way into mistakes because of that. He gets a little anxious. He'll overhelp every now and then. I mean, if we're going to break his game down, he'll overhelp. But he can get to anything he wants. Now you can play that to your advantage, but as he gets a little bit more disciplined, he's going to be a beast on the defensive end of the floor. Offensively, I love that he's willing to do things, like try things that they work on. Like we've talked in the past about Trace, use your right hand, do this, do that. He does these things, and every now and then it might cost him a basket, but I think big picture, it's really going to help him develop. And he's a fabulous physical talent, and he's got a ways to go on just the nuance of the game. But I think his skills are pretty good, though. He's actually got a nice touch around the basket. I think a lot of his stuff is just going to be from the waist down. It's just getting his footwork down and understanding how that impacts leverage and being able to take contact.
Well, if you want to get an opportunity to see him, the next opportunity will be in the Phil Cox Memorial Tournament coming up the 29th through the 30th. So that's what, tomorrow? When is that? So
no,
what is today?
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday.
Or Wednesday, Thursday.
I would love to have a name. Can you imagine having the name Peckinpah? That would be great.
Well, if your name's Peckinpah, you're sort of contractually bound to play for me. So I've coached I've coached a handful of Peckinpahs in the day.
But the most famous is Sam Peckinpah. If you're a movie buff.
Oh, yeah.
He was
John was a two-time state finalist at Muncie Central when they lost to Lawrence North both times. Odin and Conley and those boys. Muncie Central had some really good teams, and his cousin was really good at McCutcheon and was an Indiana All-Star and played at Eastern Illinois. And then his uncle Rick was a longtime head coach at McCutcheon High School and coached Rob Fennessy. There you go.
What was his name? The director, Peckinpah. It was Sam Peckinpah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. He was it's back in the, I shouldn't know his name because I know it because he was back in the 50s and 60s, but,
back when you were a kid.
Yep. No, before then it was like reruns.
Okay.
But he was famous. Very, very famous. Sam Peckinpah. I'm sure the older listeners know who he is, but there was a movie I'm trying to think of, but I can't. But anyway, so what's big coming up next, high school basketball wise anyway, also on the break though, we were talking about, for Fiore kid though, versus Xavier Booker, I from Cathedral. I like Xavier and he's going to be a good player, but you were talking about the difference between those two and just the physicality, and Xavier's definitely going to have to add some beef because or he's going to have to become a prolific Kevin Durant type player where he plays a lot of his game on the outside and can use that to come inside, but he's not going to be an inside out player unless he gains weight or becomes a prolific shooter.
Look, we've talked a lot about Book on this podcast, and we've talked a little bit on it. We've talked about him on mine as well. And I'm lagging behind a lot of people who think the sky's the limit for him. And I don't know that I believe that. And some of it is stuff he can control as far as like his motor. And I think that's where a guy like Badunga stands out because he is nonstop. Book needs to be that guy. He needs to be the guy who's battling for rebounds. He needs to be the guy that's running the floor hard every time. He needs to be the guy. I mean, he doesn't have to be a post player to be an interior presence. He can be a rim run guy. He can be a defensive, a rim protector that isn't just hunting blocks. And Badunga will do that just out of a sheer, newness to the game and a discipline.
Ross says he reminds him of Sean Kemp a little.
Yeah, physically, yeah, he does. Badunga does. Yeah,
really?
Absolutely. Yeah, physically. The length but not the skill.
That puts it right in perspective though, because he was a specimen.
Not the skill, but the power. Yeah, the physical, the shoulders. And look, when we break down Book, some of the stuff he can't control. Booker can't control his metabolism. He can't control how much weight he can gain, how much weight he
I
can
remember
safely
that.
gain.
You
How
couldn't
much
have
weight-
paid me money to gain weight when I was a senior in high school.
I mean, how much weight can Book gain and still still be healthy? You know, that's the thing is, because I've coached kids like that. I coached a kid named Chase McFarland from Decatur, Illinois, that went on to Wake Forest. And, you know, one of the first guys, when Crean was at Marquette, he was one of the first guys that came in to recruit Chase that basically said, look, we only need to put about 25, 30 pounds on him for him to be able to compete at the time of the Big East. A lot of these schools were wanting to put 40, 50 pounds on him. And he was very narrow shoulders, very narrow hips. And you could not put that kind of weight on a kid like that and have him not break down. And that's going to be the challenge with Booker, will be how much weight can you put on him to where he is able to play physically at a high level, and not just play, but succeed without his body breaking down. And that's why I compare him a lot to Clifton Moore. I compare him a little bit to Devin Archie physically, who played at Iowa. Those are guys that no matter what you do, there's a certain window weight wise that, that he can stay healthy and then maybe compete in some way at a high level. That's my concern. But with Badunga, he's got the frame to do it. He definitely has the motor to do it. And the things that he can control are the things that he is really good at. And the as far as energy, as far as effort, the skill work he'll put into it, he's got a ways to go there. But he has a nice touch around the basket, and he is super, super athletic, and he's got a chance to be pretty impressive. So physically, he passes every test right now, and the rest of it's going to come.
Well, I can't wait to see that because, man, if he's comparable to Sean Kemp, he was a specimen, and
yeah, I mean physically, I don't want people going in there.
Right? No, I get that.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, Kemp was doing isolations from the elbow. Kemp was doing isolations from the wing, and he was obviously posting up and running the floor. They do a lot of ball screen lob action in the Fiore. And, you talk about a disciplined team in Warsaw, the team they scrimmaged against. Now, I know the scrimmages, you're not going to have a lot of game planning, but they're a very disciplined defensive team. He tore them up. And that's a team that's going to be physical with him. And I know as the first quarter ended, they don't keep scores from quarter to quarter, but as the first quarter ended, they started to get a little bit more physical with him, and he responded and still just continued to tear them up.
How about 2A Monroe Central knocking off Connorsville and Bloomington North last Thursday?
Big week for them, yeah. I know North had an injury sustained during the game. I don't know how serious Kleiber's injury is, but he's kind of their heart and soul, even though JQ is obviously the talent that most IU fans will know. But yeah, Monroe Central beating Connorsville was very surprising, and turning around and beating Bloomington North. That's a heck of a day for them. Coach Ullum sent me an email talking about how he wants to, he really was proud of his team, and it was hard for him to figure out who to nominate. Like we do a player of the week every week, which I usually wrap up on Tuesday late morning. But he kind of just nominated his whole team because he was like, we played so well. It's hard to figure out which kid to, which player to nominate.
What's coming up this week that people need to look out for?
Well, if you're in the Terre Haute area, you probably already know about the Wabash Valley Classic. It's 8 teams playing in that. They started, I want to say they started at 10 o'clock this morning. You were saying, was there a break? And the only reason why there's a 3-day break is because of Sunday.
Can you imagine playing? I cannot imagine getting loosened up at 9 a.m. to play a basketball game at 10.
Well, there's a lot of teams probably practice on Christmas. A lot of these teams probably practice on Christmas. I know every now and then Carmel will practice on an evening, Christmas evening.
Yeah, but practice is different than basketball. You got to get emotionally up for a game.
Well, usually they start this on the 26th. So you're definitely not practicing on Christmas. You're definitely not taking a break on Christmas Day when you play this thing the 26th. The only reason why this wasn't yesterday is because it was Sunday. Northview's good. They return a lot of their guys from their sectional team last year. Terre Haute North is undefeated. Sullivan is undefeated. Park Heritage is a defending state runner-up at the 2A level. although their best players injured right now, they still have been able to win games. Linton later today, Bloomfield later today. Both those teams are very well. I think Bloomfield's undefeated. They are. Linton's undefeated with Joey Hart.
I was going to say, is that Joey? That's Joey Hart, right?
Yeah. So you've got some of the matchups aren't great today. I think if you're looking for a day to go there, I would go tomorrow or Wednesday. If you're just in the area and you're just going to go and love basketball, I would go there every day. But if you're just looking to find games and you're not close to Terre Haute, I would wait and go tomorrow or Wednesday. And then you've got the Hall of Fame Classic coming up this week for boys and girls, but the boys side, you've got, hold on a second. You've got, I'm trying to make sure I get the right order. Westfield,
is this
and Connersville, Newcastle.
Is this up in Newcastle? All right.
Yeah, this is Thursday. Then you've got the first game at 11 o'clock is Westfield versus Connersville. The second game is Homestead versus Cathedral. The teams that lose come back at 6 p.m. and then the winners play after that at approximately 7:30 p.m. So that game's usually closer to 8 o'clock start, but that's a fun day. And then good place to spend some time too in between games. Go to the Indiana High School Basketball Hall of Fame, which is right next to Newcastle High School, and spend some time there.
Perfect deal. All right, man. Cannot thank you enough. Jim Reamer joining us from courtside Indiana. Thanks, Don Fischer, for joining us as well. But most importantly, thank you guys for joining us. It's without you all, there's no reason for us to be here. We're back tomorrow to do it again. So thank you very much. Until then, for Jim Reamer and John, the producer, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.